Hey, grace and peace, everybody. We got a good one today. I am going to look at Umar Johnson School from the eyes of an engineer. And if you actually do a search online, there are tons of people from different spheres around the world and different spheres of work who have addressed Umar Johnson. There have been engineers, there have been accountants, there have been all these other people. And as a former classroom teacher, I have a better grasp of this than the average bear. So I just want to bring this young blood in, and we're going to look at what Umar says and what he's pushed out there and why this is just not going to work. So let me bring my video in. Let's get ready and let's go. Recently, Dr. Umar Johnson was on the Nick Cannon podcast, and it was a very interesting conversation. They've been on there before. I believe he was on there sometime last year. And during this conversation, he was talking about, of course, his beliefs and the struggle, the FBI surveilling him, all that kind of stuff. And he dove into the idea of black school. And I want to point this out, and I'm going to actually look at another young content creator who has addressed this issue, I think, masterfully. And he's just expressed and digging into the financial obligations that it's going to take to start a school, and basically how it's untenable that Umar Johnson is actually going to be able to do this, to pull this off, if by nothing else, by the fact that he's doing this by donations. So I want you to check it out. Let me know what you think about it. We're going to be diving into it in a second. So thanks so much for stopping by.
I beg your pardon.
In this video, I'm going to talk about what it's going to take to run Dr. Umar School. So from what we're hearing, it's going to open in next year, August. Hey, welcome back to Nomadically Speaking. We've been covering Dr. Umar School. Like I said, I'm trying to give you guys an engineering perspective or like a business perspective on the school. And nobody knows any facts. Even donors are not necessarily being informed. There is no website dedicated, officially dedicated to Dr. Umar's school. I'm going to talk about what it's going to take to run Dr. Umar School. Now I got a two-part. This is part one, because the second part I'm going to also show you a timeline of construction, timeline of events and what things need to happen before this school can actually open. So from what we're hearing, it's going to open.
Okay, so he's going to lay out the financial costs as relates to what happens inside the building, which I think is fantastic. Let's go, young blood.
In next year, August, where there's a ton of things that need to happen. So like I said, I'm working on that video, but I wanted to give you guys a cost to run. Now the way I broke it down is we're going to go through staffing costs. We're going to go to facilities costs, and then we're going to go through a few other things. So I'm going to make sure y'all stay tuned. All right. So we're going to start with staffing costs. Now I want to warn you guys ahead of time before my fact finders go and start, pushing back on the content of the video.
I beg your pardon.
The next time I see you, I tell you we are currently in court having to sue the city because they are discriminating against us by denying us our certificate of occupancy.
Oh, sorry about that. I botched that up. That was my fault.
Facilities costs, and then we're going to go through a few other things. So I'm going to make sure y'all stay tuned. All right. So we're going to start with staffing costs. Now I want to warn you guys ahead of time before my fact finders go and start pushing back on the content of the video.
I beg your pardon.
The next time I see you, I tell you we are currently in court having to sue the city because they are discriminating against us by denying us our certificate of occupancy.
When I did my research, some kind of way I found the average salary for a principal in Delaware was 80 grand. Just recently, I wanted to go and check my numbers, and I realized that the average salary for a principal in Delaware is about $100,000. So we're extremely low, which means that the numbers will be really ultra conservative as far as cost for staff. Okay.
And you've heard me make this case that there's no staff persons. You don't see an assistant principal or a secretary or an admin assistant, anything like that. And shout out to Nomadically Speaking. I'm not jumping on him. I think he underestimates the amount of staff persons that are needed in a school. Usually speaking, there's probably 1 to 2 staff persons per teacher in the building, per certified teacher. So for example, if you had a kindergarten grade level with 5 kindergarten teachers. There's 5 teachers. That means that there's going to probably be 5 to 10 support staff associated with that group. So we're talking about custodians and lunch ladies, paraprofessionals, music teachers, gym teachers. There's so many different other librarians. So it's easy to say you're going to have probably a 1-for-1 for every certified teacher in the building. So if you have 50 certified teachers, don't be surprised that you have maybe 50 to 60 support staff. And that's, again, admin. And that's including like principal and assistant principal, stuff like that. There are a ton of other people that you don't count a lot of the time because you're just thinking about teachers. So even here, I think Nomadically Speaking is being real gracious to Umar. So let's go.
But anyway, that doesn't really stop anything because at the end of the day, I'm going to blow you guys away with the numbers that I found. And I've never ran a school. My background is in engineering, construction, but I've never ran a school. So I was very intrigued at how much it would cost to run this project. And this is one of the first things you do when you look at a P&L or you look at a memo, pro forma for a project. You want to know what kind of income you're going to have coming in, and for several reasons. Even if it's a privately run facility, you still have costs associated with the project. Now, why investors don't know this, I have no idea. So today you're going to be enlightened. You're going to be informed. And if you disagree, trust me, people that disagree always let me know. They always leave videos. But if you would agree, and if you like what I did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, leave me some feedback. So now we can start seeing some positive feedback as opposed to a lot of the negative feedback. Because I'm going to tell you, I get a lot of that. So let's get into staffing costs to run the facility. Now, the way we broke it down today in today's video, I broke it down into the cost to run a facility or a school with 50 students, 100 students, and 200 students. Just a simplified way of looking at the numbers so you guys can walk away informed. Now, I've heard all types of different theories about how many students, but I don't have anything. There isn't anything concrete to verify how many students will actually be at this school, the FDMG Academy. So we're going to assume 3 things: 50 students, 100 students, and 200 students. Okay. So let's talk about support staff. Let's talk about staffing costs first. Like I said, the teachers, assuming a student to teacher ratio is about 10 to 1. For every 10 students, you're going to have 1 teacher. All right. And that's for small classes. Now, I'm reading for my document, so bear with me. If you see me veering over here, it's because I want to make sure I keep my facts organized. All right. So a school size of 50 students, you're going to have to assume 5 students. You're going to have to assume 5 teachers for 50 students, 1 principal and 1 support staff. 5 teachers on an average salary of about $50,000 is going to run you $250,000. So every year, your operating costs for, if you have 50 students, is going to be $250,000 for those 5 teachers. Okay. You compound that with admin staff, which is your principal. Again, we say on the lower end, $80,000 plus your admin. That's going to be your admin costs. Now you got support staff, whatever it is. Just keep it. I want to keep it simple in this video. Support staff, 1 person, $30,000. So for all staff for 50 students per year, the staff only is going to cost you about $395,000 for 50 students. Now, I said I had 3 different options, but I'm going to even simplify this.
And that's a very reasonable number. I think, not to jump on him, because I think he's definitely doing his best work. It could easily start at $500,000 right there with the number that he gave right there. I think he's being extra conservative because, again, there's a lot of support staff, school librarian and media assistant that he doesn't realize, curriculum specialists. There are a lot of adults in the building. A lot of people don't even realize how many adults there are. Let's go.
Same scenario for 100 students, 10 teachers is $500,000 in operating costs for the teachers. When you add in the principal, admins, and now 2 support staff because you have a larger facility or more students, it comes out to $710,000 in staffing costs per year to run a school with 100 students. So again, we gave you 50, that's for 100 students. Let's talk about 200 students. So at 200 students at a ratio of 10 to 1, we're going to have 20 teachers. That's $1 million in overhead for teachers' salary per year at $50,000 annually. 1 principal, 1 admin. 3 support, which is $90,000 for those 3 at $30,000 salary. That's going to run you $1.275 million in staffing costs every year to run this.
That's super conservative. Shout out to him. Those numbers. And the reason I keep bringing this up is those numbers right there that he is giving, being ultra conservative, are untenable. Where are you getting $1.5 million every year? You got to be bringing that in on a regular basis in order to pay your staff, every week or every 2 weeks when they get paid. Where are you getting that money from? Where's that coming from? And I'm sorry, it's going to be more than that, because there's going to be other costs. You've not considered custodian and lawn care and all that kind of jazz like that. And the staff that's needed to take care of that stuff. Repairs. There's going to be regular repairs that are going to be going on. I'm sorry, Umar Johnson School is a pipe dream.
So we talk about a school that's being ran by donations. You got to understand, guys, he's going to need the donations to start paying people and paying staff. So just don't forget to run them donations. Matter of fact, let's do a commercial for Umar right now.
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, in addition to science, language, math, and civics, we will have political and military science. It's very important to make sure African children understand the arts of self-defense. It's also important that they understand the world they live in today. One of the small criticisms I have for the African-centered historical community, although I'm a part of it and I support it, we focus so much on ancient history to the exclusion.
Now we got that beautiful commercial out the way supporting Umar. I want to talk about facilities costs. So when it comes to facility costs, one thing we don't have to worry about is the fact that he does not have to worry about rent or leasing because he owns the land. Now, if he didn't own it, that would be a very expensive overhead, looking at about roughly $750,000 in overhead, but he owns the property. So let's talk about utilities and maintenance. Okay. From what I found online, the school size is 38,000 square feet. So with 37,000 square feet, utilities and maintenance on that is going to run you $76,000 to $114,000. So you add in staffing costs, you add in the facilities costs, and that's going to give you where we're at now. I'm going to put in a video. Now, when we talk about utilities and maintenance, and when I tell you that, just to simplify it again, I want to make this video simple. When you talk about utilities and maintenance, you're just talking about everything it takes to run the school, from the light bill to keeping the lawn, to maintenance, all of those supportive things is going to come out to roughly 10 to 15% of what would be a rent cost. So what you do is you break down, or you get what it would cost to if you had to lease this space, and then you do a 10 to 15% of that, and that comes to your estimated utilities and maintenance costs. So if he was renting this facility, again, it would cost him about $759,000. Now, 10 to 15% of that is where I got my $76,000 to $114,000 annually to maintain the property. And I think that's
so that would be roughly, on the high end, about 10 grand a month. Okay.
Okay, where are we? So again, I'm going to do a summary real quick. We talked about staffing costs, and I told you that his staffing cost is $395,000 for 50 students, $710,000 for 100 students, and $1.275 million for 200 students. We talked about facilities costs. Man, it's very interesting. Curriculum costs for 50 students averages about $50,000, 100 students, $200,000 in overhead. Let's talk about technology costs.
Yo, this is crazy.
Matter of fact, we need to go back to another commercial, because y'all have to run these donations. All right, let's get to it.
Hit your cash app. I'm not cutting my hair, my brother. Stop worrying about my hair. That is a very non-alpha male behavior right there. Why are you worrying about another man's hair? We need some testosterone injections. We don't need no COVID shot. We need some testosterone shots. Why are you worrying about my damn hair? Why are you worrying about my hair, my brother? Why are you worrying about my hair? I'm a warrior. I'm a Mau warrior. I'm an Ethiopian warrior. I'm a Zulu warrior. I'm a Garvey warrior, brother. I'm not cutting my hair, because when I make love, your queen be grabbing my hair. Stop it, Papa. She say, Big Pop, stop it, Papa. She say, stop it, Papa. Stop worrying about my hair, my brother. Your queen pulled my hair. When I try to get up, she pulls my hair back down. She pulled me back down to her. You understand me? The queens hold on to their hair. Listen, we're not even going to get into that. It's consciousness over cookies, politics over punani, revolution over romance, consciousness before cookies, politics over punani, revolution before romance, institutions before the intimacy, business before... Look at the melanin dripping. Lord have mercy.
All right, so we are back, and so like I said, technology cost for 50 students is $25,000. For 100 students, it's going to be $50,000. For 200 students, it's going to be $100,000 in technology costs to run this facility.
And again, I ultra conservative. I would probably 3x those numbers right off the rip, because not only do you have a computer for each kid, you got a computer for each adult. Just about every adult, except maybe like custodian and lunch lady, but pretty much every adult needs a computer. You got to worry about replacement costs and repairs and all that kind of stuff like that. Easily 3x that number. And I mean, of course, you got to keep it updated. You got to take care of it when it drops and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is going to be, again, like, tell me that this guy's wrong. Let's go.
Let's talk about transportation. Guys, it's just stacking up, and it keeps on stacking up because you have transportation costs associated with running this facility. Now, I know, that transportation cost may be put into like the, I know that cost may be passed on to the students, but for this video, we're going to keep it as an operational cost for the facility. For 50 students, $100,000 for transportation costs. For 100 students, $200,000 a year. For 200 students, $400,000 a year. The cost keeps stacking up. Now, what I wanted to show you is, even if you feel like my numbers are off, trust me, they're pretty spot on. And even in some points, very, very, very respectable numbers. I'll just say it like that. There is overhead.
Yeah, I just want to say that. Look, I think this brother's doing a great job. I love his engineering mind and how he came up with the cost for rent and so forth like that. No question, no doubt. I just think he's being too aggressive. Schools spend so much money. They spend so much money. It's amazing how much money they spend. And yeah, he's doing a great job though. Let's go, brother. Let's go.
Associated with running this facility, and it's in the tune of millions of dollars.
Yes.
When you just talk about staffing costs, you're already at $500,000. But when you talk about curriculum costs, when you talk about technology costs and all these things, either you're going to price out your students where they can't afford it, or you're going to have to find a way to get the money. Now, we talk about accreditation as it's a bad thing, but understand if you don't get accredited, you don't get any access to any government funds. So it's just all around bad. And let's talk about food service costs, something that I bet you a lot of you guys hadn't thought about. To run a facility for 50 students, you got $75,000 in overhead costs. To run a school of 100 students, you got $150,000 in food services costs. And on a double that for 200 students, you got $300,000 in operating costs. Now, I'm going to keep it simple. I think you guys see where I'm going. On the low end, even if you had 50 students, let's not even go up to the 200. Let's just keep it simple. On the low end, to run this facility, if he had 50 students, it would be $1.7 million. On the high end, at 200 students, it would cost him $3.7 million annually to run this facility. I went through all the numbers. You understand, you guys are people, you understand that it costs money to run a school. I don't have to tell you that. You have kids, right? Hopefully this video gives you a general idea of what it takes to run to private school. Essentially, it's what it is.
Okay, so that was Nomadically Speaking. I'm gonna leave his link down in the chat or in the description. And I really appreciate him taking the time to use his construction background, to use the wisdom that he's gained through years of building and engaging in this to kind of make a little bit more sense of what's going on with Umar. I don't see how that brother's going to do that, man. Not just because I'm saying he can't do it or not or anything of that nature, but just on a practical level, how does this work? How does it work that through donations, you are going to achieve better than $1.5 million probably per year? And this is on an ongoing basis. So this is going to be a month over month over month. Umar School is supposed to be free to the students that attend. So if it's not free to the students that attend and they have to pay, where's their benefit? Because again, this is supposed to be underprivileged, underserved community. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. I know that some people have some thoughts about it. I want to hear what they are down in the comments. Let me know. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.